easier with my layout. I didn't exactly get to finish the teleporting thing, so I'll probably try to see if I can get that working. One function teleporting system where it happens so that all of the collisions are doing the teleportation like I had before. So that's the way I like to do it. I'll see if I can turn the music down a bit. Or at least till it sounds barely audible. Or is this one better? Okay. But I was saying before that I'm not sure how to go about setting up the portal system to different areas. Since before I had it so that each one of give me one moment. For each collision, for each of the objects, we're able to teleport one specific one, but I had no way of matching them together. So I'm not sure if I want to waste the time to make it more efficient or not. But I'm probably going to copy what I did before, but I'm just not sure yet. Also, how is it going? I'm going into computer science. Well, technically cybersecurity, but I'm taking computer science classes at the moment. Also, I'm good at the moment. It's been a busy week, so I didn't really get too much done. I guess that's more of a disadvantage of trying to do game development versus art, since I don't have as much of a time sink. Well, game development has more of a time sink than art does for me, since I don't know game development as well. After next Wednesday, I should be in BC more often. Since next Wednesday I have another exam I have to take, and then I have an exam on Tuesday. Tuesday. probably watch a tutorial on this, but I don't feel like it. I will do the fabled winging it. I suppose so. Pretty much if I'm not doing any of my hobby stuff, I don't really feel like I'm doing much. Even if I do have school going on. And then Maple Story still exists, so that's an even bigger time drain. I used to stream on Twitch for a couple years, but then I switched to YouTube since it's better for my having everything in one place. You do get subs on Twitch though. But I'm not doing this for the money. I'm just doing it because I want to stream. I'm not actually sure how to start this. I guess I can write out what I want to do and see if I can make anything out of that. Pretty much what I think I want to do is have the character walk into the collision of the portal object. Wait. Actually just have the portal object detect for if the character's there. Since I have different collision masks. So the one for interact should be the one that the portals are calibrated to. I think there are the collision shape and then mask, but mask is only for detection. And the shape is to be detected. I did watch a few YouTube tutorials or YouTube videos on not code architecture, but something related to it. They're talking about signals versus, I think, direct referencing, but I'm not sure what to use here. What do you mean? Alright, which part sounds confusing? Not actually sure which part actually sounds confusing. Oh, okay. So to explain, I guess what I'm doing is I'm trying to do what programmers called visual scripting, which is using nodes instead of code, since they don't really want to learn code. I just want to deal with the logic systems, since I think I'm much better at that and have more experience. I don't have to invest any time yet, since I'm not doing this seriously. So pretty much, if we look at this travel function here, well, to explain what a function is, it's the same as math, where you have an input, and from that input it goes and does something. Since computer science is math-based, I guess. And then these white lines are what we call the flow of information, or just the, I forgot the actual formal term, but it's a flow. So it goes from the function into this condition, which first goes to the Boolean statement, which has one of two values, which is true and false. So if the value of the Boolean is false, it will go to, the flow will go redirect to here, the false. And if it's true, go to true. And because it's true, very true, it just goes here. And then the done function is more of a, regardless if it's true or false, it will always do it. But don't like using that too often, since I don't think I have any conditions that require me to do something. Actually I do have one somewhere. I think I did for the movement system somewhere. But the main idea was, regardless of what I do, it's supposed to set something. I might have removed it, but I'm not sure. It's not as confusing as it looks. But the main issue is that conditions are overpowered. I'm not actually sure if I can use this for my portfolio or not, since I'm not really thinking of making multiple games. I just want to work on the one. But I guess this would actually be pretty nice to have, since I do have the art portfolio, even though I'm not actually I wouldn't say I'm a serious artist. It's more of a, I'm doing this all for one purpose. It's like a religion. Except I'll just keep it as it's a religion. But to get back to what I was doing before, each of the portals they have a collision on them, since there's no way that the portal would know anything's happening if I didn't have some kind of thing attached to it to detect anything. So in this case, what I'm using is the 2D area, since that's the only thing that I know of that actually detects anything. But people more experienced with Godot could probably tell me more, or Godot, as the cool kids say. So pretty much I wanted to look out for the main character and only them, because they're the most important thing in the universe, probably. Then I'm not sure what I wanted to do next. So I could either have it send a signal, or I could have it directly talk to something else. The main issue with sending a signal is that everything can hear that signal, so I'm not sure. But the name of the game is going to be somewhere_reigns. I was actually planning on making the web comic, but I don't have the confidence for it at the moment. Well, I did, but I don't now. But the main premise is that of the game is just that you're walking around at the moment, since I don't know how to do anything advanced. So it'll be like one of those exploring games. Thanks. think the entire reason why I even went into art was just for this very moment to make a game. Because back then I used to actually draw physical comics. But then, so that's why I wanted to make a webcomic, since I also read webcomics as well. Well, used to read them more often, but gaming happened. Well, it's happening more than it's supposed to happen. It's almost like it's an addiction, but better. I don't know if it's a webtoon. Actually, yeah, similar to webtoons. I think the only difference is that they're on a different website, but it's pretty much just comics made by people online, and they just update it when they feel like it. I'm just not sure where to take the game though, since I didn't exactly flesh out the world to be game ready. I more have just fleshed it out to be story ready, but I don't know how to translate the story into a game. It's a bit strange, to be honest. I already said this before, but I don't really want to send a signal, since anything that's looking for that signal will detect it, which could ruin some stuff. So for example, if I had this green door and this gray door both looking for the signal, if any of these doors emit that signal, they both will be alerted to it, and that's not exactly what I want. But the only thing I would want out of it is so that when this individual door gets walked upon, they're supposed to emit a value called somewhere that's supposed to teleport you to whatever coordinate of the next door it's going to. But I'm not sure if that's an efficient system or not. I haven't done enough research for this. I guess that's the only thing that's not so good about switching fields so often, is that I don't have any expertise. It's not like drawing, where I can just put stuff on a screen and it just happens. Well, the end product is something happens. Technically, something happens regardless, but still. It's not like drawing. And pretty much, we want the portal to detect something, then we want something to happen. In those exact words. Then after something happens, let's say I don't know if I want the character themselves to store the coordinate, which wouldn't make any sense because I'm not doing anything with it. I guess technically in this case, the actual portals could store the coordinates that I want. The main issue with storing the coordinates though is that I don't have a way of linking two portals together, which was my main issue. And that's why on the past streams, if you ever looked at the portaling section of the code. It's extremely bulky. Since I'm constantly using, if I can find the node, the body shape entered and body shape exited. Since that's the only way I know how to have the detection work. I mean, technically, since I'm newer to this brute forcing, it actually would be more effective than not brute forcing, so at least I have something on the page. It's pretty much like art, or gaming, or anything, I guess. But the main reason why last stream I wanted to downscale everything, since I want this to be more like a tech demo at the moment, where if I make a change I don't have to look everywhere and start making changes. I just want it to be one fleshed out area, so I have all the knowledge I need if I want to make another area, which I do. Since the main areas are supposed to be the Imperial City, the Raider Village, and the Nomad Castle, but I'm not sure about that one yet. But the Imperial City is the main one I want to work up to, since it's the biggest and most fleshed out area I have at the moment. It's where all the story is taking place. Try to see if I can block out some basic coding from this. So I'll use this green door here as an example, if I can find where I'm supposed to do this. Okay, wait, what time tomorrow's the movie? I need to look at the time. I think the event went down. Unless you put it in the chat. Okay, I should be able to make that. Did we already decide on a movie? Okay. Oh, I found the message. Oh, I didn't notice I actually already voted. That is good. I don't remember voting. This is what school does. So at the moment, I think the most simplified system I have at the moment is for camera movement actually. Since all it's really doing is changing the camera zoom when I walk into certain places. It's only attached to these two variables, or two objects, of camera zoom in and camera zoom out. So it doesn't really matter how many of those variables I have, since I have to walk into a specific one and it does what I need it to do. But I'm not sure how I can translate that to portals or doors. I'm calling it portals. You pretty much get something like that. I'll probably switch to displays. and then I'll try it again. So right now it's at a normal zoom, and it should go to 2 zoom. That is multiple years of hard work right there. And I'm not sure why that has a collision. Doors shouldn't have collisions. Actually, we know that one should have a collision actually. Except that doesn't make any sense in this case, because that door isn't a wall door. It's supposed to be a door you can walk through but just can't interact with. Oh well. There are different types of doors, I guess. So if I'm to think this out for a moment, I could have one variable, except that wouldn't make any sense because I would have to somehow pick out, I think I would need ray tracing or something, because I want the actual object to know where it's being, or where the player is touching it, so I know where to send them. Except that wouldn't make any sense though, since for ray tracing it chooses a specific coordinate. It doesn't choose the entire object, or maybe it does actually. Well, if it does choose the actual object, then this might be simple, but I'm not sure. I can't be too sure of anything until I try it, but trying it takes time. I think teleporting might just be one of those things that you just have to do on a case-by-case basis. So you can't just have one system. I should probably make one of these displays a bit larger, since on my screen, if I actually click this expand button, it doesn't actually let me see that much. Yeah, what is the question? There is. I think you need a score of 300 to get it on the Punch King. Or maybe it was a score of 100, but there is a skin for it. I still have to get the chair. I think I'll get the one for Pink Bean tomorrow, and then I'll just not play it ever again. I'll move back to Yeti until the event ends. And then I'll be happy. After I get that other chair. That also happens to be in a month. And then I'll be happy. Too many good chairs coming out. I might actually not play the next event, but I'm not sure yet. I just need to take a break. It's been months. Also, the main reason why I'm not coding anything is because things get much more complicated if I have something down than if I just write or talk it out. Which I guess is the main disadvantage of coding versus art, since for something like art, you actually want to have something down, even if it takes time. But the issue when you move to coding is that having anything down takes time, much more time than it would for art, since you can't just delete what you want, since everything here is logic. It's like I have to be a real artist. I have to think. Well, think more than usual. It's not that hard, but still. Thinking that the main trouble point at the moment is how does one door know how it's or where it's supposed to send me. Since I'm thinking maybe every collision could have it sent to the next collision instead of everything being connected to the character. So in that way, the code's separated, so if I change something, it doesn't change everything. Or at least not later on. Except I have a lot of doors. So I thought I could make something much simpler. But it might not be possible at this moment. It's the joys of coding. I mean, technically speaking, I don't actually need a working door system right now. But if I want to get out of this tutorial area, I'm going to have to figure out something. Something that could be cool is if I could just draw on here that this green door goes to the next green door. Except that would be too abstract for a compiler or code to understand. Even though it could be a cool system to have written, but that's probably not practical to take the time to do. Or at least not at this phase. I guess this is the problem if I don't do enough coding. I actually don't know what to do here. I'll just go with the option number 1, where I just look at the collisions and look at their coordinates, except that doesn't, wait. The issue is that I had to come up with a naming scheme if I actually do that, and I don't really want to do that. Since I can't just say door 1 leads to door 2, because if I'm all the way up here, I don't know which door is which. And I don't have location names either. Even though it's probably one of those fundamental things I have to have. Just not something I have prepared. I could actually try working on something else, but it wouldn't make much sense. Since I could try doing actual art for this place, but without doors, I can't travel anywhere. And this is supposed to be a movement update. Can't have movement without doors. I could figure out how to make one door to know to go to another door, then it wouldn't be an issue anymore. But the question is how. Since I'm not exactly I'm not hard coding anything, and neither should I be hard coding anything, since that would make everything harder later on the line. At least for letting one door know to go to another. Since the idea that I was thinking of was we have maybe some kind of numbering scheme where it just knows to go to the door plus one of a number. But if I ever change anything, then everything's messed up. Going to need some expertise on this. I'll just go with a random option. I think it might be better to just have too much stuff than to have nothing. So what I'll do is, because I can't, or at least I don't know how to translate the camera logic into door logic, I'll try to just have every door just be its own thing again. Since I already do have it set up, but just don't like it. It's not my favorite idea. So I'm not sure why I forgot to delete a door. The easiest thing I could actually do is inside of the testing area, just have 3 different doors with and I could use that to test the system instead of trying to be more practical or reasonable. The entire point of this isn't to be reasonable. I guess I could actually have each of these doors next to each other. Then I have to make actual collisions, since these things don't actually have anything. But I'm pretty sure I could actually make them have a collision, or to have a proper collision. Or not. I think you can actually choose your collisions here. The actual tile map decides what collisions you get, unless they have some kind of script. I'll just make some kind of test variable, and I'll just put in the collisions there. I'll just call it something creative. That should give me some inspiration, so then I'll make a good idea, and then I'll use it. Actually, I don't want a node here. One thing I did notice with game development is that it has more to do with management than it does to do with coding in certain parts. since you have so much stuff you have to put down. An organization isn't exactly something I put that much time into. Or much time. Pretty sure if I did put in the effort, I could probably learn to do this better. Or at least organize this in a way that makes more sense for what I want to do. Since the entire point is that I have to learn my own language and quotation marks of how I solve my problems. Or I could take the lazier route and actually just look at what other people are doing, which would save more time for what I'm doing. And that would be more practical. But we're not here to be practical. So all I have to do here... whoops. I think all I have to do is say what the collision actually is. Except this isn't working though because I'm not on the right place. Okay, this actually isn't working because it doesn't count as a collision for some reason. Or something to collide into. I'm not sure why. Pretty much, if I set it to the first collision layer, what it's supposed to do when the player touches it is that the player's supposed to stop there, but it's not doing that for some reason. Since it's supposed to stop the player even if I don't have anything set up. And for some reason the player is going straight through it. Actually, I guess the most practical thing to do is to actually check that this is the right place. And it is. I'm not actually sure what's going on. So pretty much the 2D area is supposed to monitor for movement, but at the same time I'm using a collision area that's supposed to stop the player from moving. It is possible I should be using a static body and not a 2D area, but I'll look at the description. It does say physics influence, so it should work. And the things I had before also had it. But at the same time, they're also on a different layer. This is part of the reason why coding is a bit of a sink for time. Since there are different kind of errors you can have. And this one happens to not be any of them, since this has nothing to do with coding. This is a experience error. It is very powerful. We'll see if I can make something more extreme here. And just to see if the player can interact with it. They walk through it. It wouldn't make any sense to override either, since I didn't use that before, so I don't know if I should be using it now. I don't think I broke the logic either. That's the issue. Since player doesn't have any once something enters them logic. Kind of messes up my plan though, since if I can't get it to detect the player, then I can't get it to send any signals. Pretty much at the moment I need a way to get it so that the player's collision knows that this door's collision should be similar to a wall. Except I'm not sure how to go about that. The collision shapes themselves don't actually have anything on them. So something I'll try to do is actually never mind. I thought I could have the collision on its own, so that I could just test it out. Even though it wouldn't technically make any difference, but it's something to test. I could try to do one-way collision. Except I'm not low up, or I'm not high up enough. That's strange. Let's see what happens if I turn on all the collisions. It shouldn't do anything. pretty sure an area 2D should be able to stop it. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I could try a static body actually, since it's guaranteed to work. And now if I step on it, it works. But that's because it's a static body. I also need it to work as a collision. And the question is how. Since static bodies can't detect anything. Probably some secret technique I haven't thought of, called watching a past stream to see what I did. But of course I'm not going to do that, because that would be practical. And we're not here to be practical. It's kind of against the law here. Actually, I'll just do what I was originally thinking, since I don't want to waste too much time. What I'll do is I'll just have this look at if something entered it, and I'll see if I can get it to make some kind of change, whatever that may be. Put everything into a function or two, so all of it makes sense. The main issue with having everything have a body shape entered is that I have to have two pairs for everything. Exactly afford to have that. At least not on a larger number. Since when you're trying to make code architecture, you have to assume that if you put something in, you have to prepare for it to be infinite. And if it's infinite but efficient, then it's a good idea. But in my case, having one node means I have to create 2 elements per node. That's easily going to slow things down, but might actually be required here. So I'm going to see if I can set up the basic stuff of the body entered thing. Should probably actually have a function instead, since that would make more sense. Yep, that. I could probably actually simplify something in my code somewhere with the entered and exit thing. Since if you're entering and it's true, the other one's always going to be the opposite. So I don't know why I actually have two variables for. Even here I have doorway entered and exited, but that doesn't make much sense. Since if you're not in the doorway, you're not there. You already exited, technically. It's kind of an issue with not having much experience here. I'm not actually sure where I actually use this code. If it does, actually, what I'll do instead is I'll just delete the code, but I'll keep the functions since they look fancy. And what I'll do instead is I'll delete the entered part, or the exited part, I mean. Since if you exited something, then entered equals false, and vice versa. It should save me some time later on. I mean, technically I don't actually need a function for this, but since everything's going to be connected to it, or more than one thing is going to be connected to it, it makes more sense to have a function instead. Whoops. Let's see if the first test works. Oh. That probably is why I had this is part of the issue with having everything in one place. I don't actually know where the error is. Oh. I think most of this actually is outdated now. Since everything's in the same area, there is no debug area. That could be an issue. Now what I'll do instead is I'll just delete any of the visibility stuff. Since I don't actually it wouldn't make any sense to delete any visibility things. But I'll delete all the collision-based things since it doesn't make much sense. There's nothing to delete, or nothing to not walk on since I'm using timelapse now. Except I'm not sure if they will be permanent, so I'm not changing them yet. Now the teleporting isn't working because I deleted more stuff than I thought. Uh-oh. This is part of the trouble of deleting things and updating. If more than one thing relies on I guess a function happening or an event happening, you're going to have to change everything. And in my case, I'm not actually sure I have anything, since I didn't actually set a spawn point. And that would be useful. So I will do that. I'll just have one node. It will be a 2D node since you can get the coordinate of that. And I'll just have the player teleport to that. It's probably a waste of a node, but actually I'll look if there's something better. There doesn't seem to be anything I can use here, so I think 2D node is best. I'll just call it a spawn point. Now the issue is, do I want to have one spawn point for every area, or have one spawn point period? And in this case, it's actually better to have one spawn point for every area, since I have these buttons. They're supposed to go to that exact spawn point, so it makes more sense. So pretty much what I'll do is, when the button is pressed, it's going to go to wherever that node is. Since I'm using a 2D node. I just actually have to get it. Everything's how do I put this? Because everything's connected to the origin, it's going to be a bit painful to have to look for one thing that I want to drag. But I could use my secret technique, the pressing the down arrow key. So pretty much what I'll do is when I press the debug room button, it's going to teleport the player to this spawn point. It is a very literal spawn point, or point of spawn. So what I'll do is I'll get that position, I'll just teleport them there instead. So now I don't have to rely on a collision for the spawn point. This should mean that I'm looking for less. Uh-oh. That's when I realize something's up. I think the main issue now is that I don't actually have a debug room anymore. Everything's part of the same tile map, which is an issue. Which actually means I need to get rid of everything here, actually. The only thing it should do now is just mess with the colors. And that should be it. I could go for a critique right about now. It would make things a lot easier to know what I'm doing right or wrong. But the teleport system does work, so that's good. It takes up less space. just have to use my secret technique one more time. This time it will save all of humanity or something. I think that's what secret techniques do nowadays. And it works. Pretty much the only thing the button's actually supposed to do is just check if it's been pressed or not. And if it's been pressed, then it does this stuff. One thing I should probably think about is having a camera zoom function, since it seems I'm using that far too much now. There are a lot of places where I'm manually putting in camera zoom. I guess for the camera zoom in and out collisions, it's fine since I'm only using one collision here. I don't want to do that next time if I'm using something larger or something more processor intensive. Well, there isn't any intense things going on, but still, it's all about the theory. So if we're looking at our little list here, we did the first thing, even though we could have done that a long time ago, but we didn't. Now we need something to happen. The question is what? Well, if we're to ignore the second thing, we just go to the third one and store the coordinate of the next portal. The question is how? Actually, we actually did do the something happens. That's just this part with the calling the function. But we still don't know how we're storing the portal or the next portal. So let's say, for example, I walk into this first green door and I wanted to go to the second one. How does the first one know to go to the second one in a clean fashion? I'm not actually sure I should be going for clean. I should just go for something more or less. Well, I guess less, since less takes less effort. I can't find my tile map. I only wanted to have 2 doors. But I'll replace it to take out the middle door. So let's pretend for a moment I actually doubled up this collision so that it shares the same logic. I'll have to move it somehow. I think it's actually fine that both of them are moving in the same way, since it's a universal thing. Every door collision should be the same size. So let's say I move into this one, or this collision. I needed to send a signal to the second collision. Well, yeah, second collision. The easiest way to go about it would to be to say if the collision equals the first door, then send it to the, or make the variable I want get the coordinate of this door. So the entire point is if I interact on the first door, it sends me to the second, and vice versa. It's probably a good enough way. Since that would technically mean I made one function, since it's checking for individual doors, and technically speaking it does know what door it's supposed to go to. But that's a lot of if statements, since if I were to scale that up, I would need I would need one if statement, two if statements per door, or per set of doors. So if I were to get this working, what would happen is I go to this door here, it sends me to this door. But let's say I want to take this same door and go back to the first door. The question is, should I actually have that second if statement so that it knows that I'm at the second door now? That's what I'm not sure about now. There are a lot of ways I could actually make this complicated, but it wouldn't make much sense if I'm scaling it up. I'll try my first idea just so I have something down. Also, I'm not sure why this function is returning anything. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure what it would be returning. It's weird. It can't return anything. So I'm not sure why it has this. This comes the complicated part. Actually, this could be simple. What I could do is, if the doorway is entered in its specific doorway, it automatically already knows where it's going to go, since I can only go one way. And when I leave that doorway, it sets it to be the previous one like I had before. So I'd only need only one of these functions per door. Or I could just have it as a true-false thing. But then the main issue would be, what do I do if I have multiple doors? Would I still call this one function to go through every door? Or do I have something else going on? And I'm guessing the issue would be use a signal, but I don't have the expertise for that. So I'll just I'll get the coordinate actually. Wherever it is. So I'll just say a position of this equals something else, then I'll actually. It didn't actually store anything yet, so that wouldn't make any sense. We're going to get the somewhere variable, and we'll set that to be our position, or the second door's variable. Wait. What we're going to do is we take the somewhere position, or the second door's coordinate, set that to the somewhere position. So even if we leave that door, we still know where we want it to go. That's how I have it know where we're teleporting to. I mean, technically speaking, we don't actually even need a somewhere position. We could just have it there, since we don't need it. Or at least we don't need it outside of teleporting. So that wouldn't make much sense. Actually, I need to check something. I had a traveling function somewhere that I need to look at. Actually, do I still have a traveling function? No, I do. It is somewhere. Oh, here it is. So pretty much all this does is if I press down, then it sends me to wherever that somewhere position is. Since technically speaking, this function has no way of knowing what somewhere is, or where it's actually going to send me. So actually it makes more sense to use the somewhere position, or the coordinate. Because I do not, frame rate's not an issue, I won't actually have to care too much about how many times I call something yet. Which is why I didn't really want to worry too much about doing anything cleanly. I don't have the expertise or the reason to do so right now. But this thing is a bit much. The main issue is I need to see somehow of having it check the coordinate. So I'm guessing what I can actually do is I can call the 2D area here and ask it who actually, wait, actually no, that wouldn't make any sense. What I was going to do is treat it like it's an array and just say what is the ID of what you just interacted with or detected. But that doesn't make any sense because if it's calling one function, it's calling multiple. And I'm guessing that means I shouldn't use that. I shouldn't use it for doors. Or at least not in this game. I don't actually think I can even know what I just interacted with. All it knows is that something, or it monitored, or it got something. So let's pretend. If we pretended it's an organism, and it doesn't have good eyesight, technically all it knows is that something came into its vision. The question is, what? Or how would it know what's what? Which is where the if statement comes in. And the difference between an organism and coding, or at least this code, is that an organism would say, if what I detected is a certain shape, then react. But in this case, I need to figure out how to say something. I guess if we detected something at this collision, then do something. Actually, yeah, if we detected something at this collision, then do the travel, or the travel function, since the travel function is actually what checks if you did any input. So that should make more sense. It doesn't do anything elsewise if a doorway isn't entered. I should probably use better names next time. The question is, how does it know which of these collisions actually detected something? Actually, I have an idea. Something I could do is actually use this body variable and say if the body equals one of these collisions, then teleport to this other body. So in theory, I think I just need shape. Technically body isn't any variable and I'm using an object variable. But the entire point is that I don't want the code doing anything if it's not detecting anything. The issue is that I would need to go through all of the if statements, which would be an issue later on. But I don't think it's something to worry about right now. Actually, I still need to use positions, so I don't think I actually accomplished anything there. Since somewhere is still a variable or coordinate. I think the idea still works though. Or not. I forgot to change the mask. technically speaking, it's supposed to actually get this somewhere, so I'm guessing it's returning false every time because the shape thing doesn't make any sense. At least not with the way I'm using it. So that actually, if I go backwards, it should make sense. Since it should say, actually, I'm not sure what the body is referring to. If it's referring to what just collided to it, or what it's being collided with, if that makes any sense. I'll just do the more obvious thing since I don't want to waste too much time. I'll just say get the position, but at the same time I'm going to need the body thing again. Since I want to say if the collision, or if it entered here specifically with this first collision, then it should do something. The only way I know how to do that is to get the 2D area, but I'm already in a 2D area, so it doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to have to make a custom solution for this, since that takes time. And when I say time, I mean hours. I don't actually think getting the shape is doing anything. I think it's just getting the fact that the shape is a rectangle. So it doesn't make any sense. Something easy I could do technically would, instead of using collisions or even 2D areas, I could just use ray casting instead. But that would be much more complicated, even though it would do what I'm looking for. If we look at the ray casting logic, it actually has the ability to know whether it's colliding or not. But if I go to this collision here, and I try to type for colliding, it doesn't actually know. So the question would be, how do I get the actual object without actually having to say if object equals object, since that doesn't sound right. Except it says get the shape owned by the collision shape. So that doesn't make much sense. Pretty sure this is the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. So that wouldn't make any sense. I don't think there's a way to do this, or at least there's no simple way. So what I will do instead is figure something else out. The question is what? Since what we're trying to say pretty much is, if one of these doors is entered, then do something. If the actual body of the door is entered. Since this is a one function thing, so it would activate whether I go to the second or the first door. I needed to know which door it's entering. See if I can use the equal thing again. I don't want to go for if the coordinate equals the player, because that could change at any moment. And if I'm at the edge or something, then it doesn't count as being on the collision. I could also try to use approximate, but I don't know how that works. Probably wouldn't work if I have two collisions next to each other, or two portals next to each other. Actually, see if I can read something. Not sure why that's not working. It should have something. Kinda wish there's a way to do a split screen with this, so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. I kinda wish I knew what these arguments actually did. I'm pretty sure the body argument is the one I want. I'm just not sure how to use it again, since I did use it before. Or maybe I deleted it. I do know I used it at some point in time. Actually, I used it for the previous version of the raycasting, so the body one should work. Or at least I know there is a way to do it. I just don't know how to do it here. It is a mystery. I think the easiest thing to do would have been to say get shape, but it doesn't get the right shape. So what we instead need to look for is to get the body of this shape. I'm not actually sure it's possible though. I might be dealing with methods or something if I'm actually trying to get specific parts of each of the objects. There's not actually a lot that this can get. I think the easiest thing would have been if we only had 2 doors. We would have been able to just set the one door to go to another one if a certain button is pressed. But the issue is that now, because I want to do a more generalized approach for it, I just need to figure out how to get the actual shape. So or collision in this case. So if I enter this shape, or if I enter the door shape or collision using the player, it should I actually don't want to call this somewhere creative, but the one function should know by the player touching it that something happened, but if anything else touches it, then nothing should happen. But it should only know that it's happening at this one collision point and not every collision. I mean, technically speaking, just by having this 2 collisions for one of these objects, it's technically doing that anyway, but still. Because technically if anything enters it, it looks at everywhere it can be collided with, and then it goes and does the function anyway. But the good thing it is that it is looking at everywhere it can be collided with, so I should be able to use that for something, since I don't have too many places it can be collided with at the moment. I just need to figure out what to do with it. Also, the main reason why I'm not using the collision mask for this one is because the NPCs also have the same interaction mask as the player. So if I put the NPC where the player is, the door will actually see the NPC as the player, or it will see them as equal roles. That's why I need to know what exactly is entering the field. I mean, what that's technically what I could do is have an initial check to make sure that the body entered is the player. But because we're in a testing scenario, it's guaranteed to be the player. So that would take more time off of what I have at the moment. It would be a lot easier if I just wrote this down, to be honest. So I don't go in circles by accident. Or logical circles. And everything has to be programming based here. Because it's a programming stream. And then when I move to art, everything will be art based. It's like a game. Pretty much we need to figure out how it knows anything here. We have to figure out what it knows, get some information from it. The question is how. I guess I'll actually write something down. It would be the easiest way to figure out what I'm doing here, since I did this last time and it worked. Well, every time it's worked, I just don't do it. So what we want to do is the same thing as before, where we detect for player, or just detect for something. And then if something equals, well, I'm not actually sure. If something equals something, let's just say, if should actually be a looping statement, I think, or something. But if something equals something, then do thing. Well, I guess actually the easiest thing to do is to say object and not something, since we are looking for objects here. So detect for object. If object equals object, then do something. Or, well, now we can say do something. It's less repetitive now. We have 3 objects, but only one thing. Well, in this case we have 2 doors. And the main place where we're getting stuck is the if object equals object part. The question is, what is the object? So I guess I can write something here. Actually, I messed up. What is it scanning for? I mean, technically speaking, it's supposed to scan for player, actually. Not just any object. So it scans for player in order to do something. So what it actually wants to know is if the player collided with one of the collisions, the specific collision. Then it will do something. The question is, how do I get it to know that the player touched a specific collision and not just any collision? Since we already have the do something part down and setting the somewhere and getting ready to teleport, we just don't know how to do the actual condition here, or not in code speak. This is part of why these things take so long, to be honest. Since I don't know where anything is, I can't just troll through things. Or truck through things. Plow through things. I need a theme. Trundle through things. I need a real plan here. If I have a plan, then I can get something going. But the only way to make a plan is to have something written down, which I do know. Because technically, this isn't the actual plan, it's more of a physical version of thought, and we're using that to make a plan. It's a substitute. Or, I guess in this case it would be an extension of what I'm thinking. So that I can think about other things, like a plan. It would be very useful if I could find what I'm looking for, if it exists in this place. What my original plan would have been, though, would have been much more simple. I would have just said if player position equals the position of the door, or whatever the collision is, then do something. But the issue is that when it's getting the collision, it's referring to the actual node in the middle here, not the actual collision body. If it was referring to the body, then it would have been much easier. This is part of the reason why I like visual coding versus actual coding. I just get to look at the logic, and I don't have to worry about what functions exist and what doesn't exist. Or at least not in directed at code. I'm doing it directed at logic instead. And then when I get more comfortable with the logic, I can move to code, if it's more efficient. Maybe for frame rate it is, but not at the moment. So we're still back at square 2 technically. We managed to detect for something. This is the one function we're looking for the rework. We're having something happen. And we are storing the coordinates of the next portal. We just need to look deeper into that something happened, which is this detection plan we have here, or detection thought, or a thought bubble, or a thought square. And we're going to use this thought square here for the something happens, so I'll just rename it to that. Since we're not editing that, I'll just put the comment in there, since That makes the most sense. Or so I thought. The next thing we need to go into more detail about would be if player touches specific collision, since that's what I don't know how to do. So pretty much the whole point of this is to go into more detail about the thing I don't know about, so then I'll know what I'm actually trying to think about here. Since the main issue at the moment is that I don't know how to translate my thought into code logic. I'm still thinking in abstract terms. Indeed. I wanted to use it for today's stream since I already had it set up. And I at least wanted to know if it worked better with my current setup or not. I think it does work better since I'm not having to type as much. But it might be painful if I'm going through the stream again to know when I said what. It's the same microphone. I think Discord isn't using the voice meter thing for some reason. Is this one better? Actually, I'll just turn the gain up. Probably does the same thing. Okay. But the main thing I was saying before is I was just using the microphone to know if it works better with my setup. But it's going to be more painful when I'm going back through the stream to figure out what I'm doing. Since right now I'm just trying to figure out my thought process in this. Since I'm not sure how to convert my thought into code. It'd be pretty nice to have. Yeah, pretty much. I think the good thing is that I have actually figured out some kind of thought process. We are coding, it's more for just Java though at the moment. We're not actually using a game engine coding. But in this case, my main issue is that I don't have the experience with Godot or Godot to know what exists and what doesn't exist. It's kind of a feedback loop because I don't know what exists, so I don't know what to try, so I don't know what exists. So the only way I could really know is if I take a risk. But the question is, what exactly do I risk on? So then I just don't know what is there. Pretty much if I can figure out what I'm trying to think about, that should open a lot of things up. Or to put it in more understandable terms, I just need to figure out what my question is. That is something I wanted to try more. At least reading more of the documentation, since that did actually help with the ray casting issue I was having before. But in this case, what I'm trying to do is I wanted to take the body of this collision so I can make an equal statement, since I according to the documentation, this function does actually know what's being, or what it's colliding with, but I just needed to know, how do I get the body of this thing? Since I'm trying to make, I'm trying to redo the door logic, so it's more, or it makes, how do I say this? It's more modular, I guess. I can just put stuff in and take stuff out much more easily. And it takes up less space. I guess the first thing to do would actually to repeat the step about the, look at the documentation. I think this is it. This is not it. And this one's for a kinematic, and we want a normal, or a normal collision shape. Or a 2D one. The one thing I don't understand here is what does it mean by the actual shape? Because when I did the testing, I'm thinking it means the literal shape of the collision and not the body of the collision. Since the body would refer to the object, while the shape just refers to the shape. It is possible that I can't actually figure out what the body is using the 2D collision shape. That wouldn't make any sense. My main issue is that I'm not actually sure what this shape thing is. Actually, I think what I'm looking for is the shape owner thing. So if shape owner equals something, so I'll try to add that somewhere here. I think that should make more sense. It gets the shape owner. So then we know this body thing here is the player. Except I'm not sure if the player has anything to do with it in this case. Since technically if we already collided with the shape, that's how we even got into this. So I'm going to have to look this up again. And pretty much I'll take a few more minutes on this, then I gotta go. I know somewhere it's either a method or a property that just says body. Actually, it's an argument, so it might not be here. That's not the best. And technically, because it's an argument, I should actually see it somewhere at the top. No, I meant that I gotta go to sleep. I just have MapleStory open in the background at the moment. It's getting late. I need my beauty sleep. I can't actually find where this collision thing is. Actually, I just remembered why I can't actually find it. It's because I'm not in the area 2D thing. I'm back at the dorm room now. Our spring break only lasted a week. Okay, this should actually make more sense. Uh-oh. Oh, whoops. So these are the different arguments. I don't have any roommates, I should be good. And the people in the hallway probably don't mind, since it's kind of noisy around here either way. So someone talking to themselves in a room probably isn't the biggest downgrade they've ever heard. For now. Assuming they don't assign anyone here, then I should have it to myself for the semester. I lost track of where I just was. What does that mean by the other 2D area? It keeps saying the other, so I don't know what that means. I think the main issue is that the body here actually only refers to player, and we don't want it referring to player, we want it referring to the specific collision. So pretty much all of this refers to whatever it's colliding with, so all of these would be the player. So it actually, my original plan actually does work. I just need to figure out how to get it, I don't want it to equal it though. I wanted to say if the player is touching this specific collision, then do this. But I'm still not sure how to do that. So I guess Google is the answer. There does seem to be something. It seems someone else had the same issue in 2020. But it would seem there's no way to do this. It says there should be a shape get owner. Oh, there is a get owner object. There should be something. There are quite a few. So the question is, can I find the owner? This should make this a lot more modular. So I don't have to keep saying, or at least I don't have to know exactly where, what the, how to put this. I don't have to say if collision equals blank, or at least not explicitly. Now all it's doing is it's asking just for any owner, and that's what our any will be. I'm not actually sure this will work. I'm using it for a collision. I'll just print this for a moment. Should print something. Or not. It is an invalid call. I'll give this 2 more minutes. We'll see if I can speedrun this. So pretty much we want to get the shape owner of the collision. Hello. You have come at the end of the street. Yes. And this is the second or third mic stream, I think. I just needed to test the setup to know if this is more efficient or not. Also, I'll see if I can be on the VC tomorrow, since I want to try to level Pink Bean to 100 or 110, since I need that chair. It is a need and not a want, because reasons. I don't actually think I can get the shape owner. I will stream Maple Story once I complete reality. I don't think I'm going to play Lost Ark. I don't like the way the game looks. Also, I just don't want to play new games at the moment. Especially not the trending ones. Rip. Might be something with the stream. It's probably because I'm not uploading that many bits or something. I don't know. Or it could just be a stream delay. According to one of the articles or forums I read, I am doing the right hierarchy for the actual door system. But the issue is that I haven't found anyone who actually knows how to get specific collisions. I think actually I'll make a last minute decision and just say the system doesn't actually work, since like I said before, since all these collisions are actually attached to the same thing. If I touch, let's say, door 2, then door 1 is also alerted to it, and that's not what I want. I actually want them to work separately. So it turns out my original solution was the better one in this scenario. At least for performance reasons. So for example, if I had this many doors, I wouldn't want one door to alert every door here. I'd want one door to alert one door. But I'll leave the stream here for tonight. Thanks for watching. I will also put down the sacred text. It's very necessary. Have a good night.